Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. I'm Dr. Moby, and today we have an excellent guest. Let's welcome Yolandi. Right?
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Thank you for logging in from Michigan, one of my favorite states. I was chatting with her offline that I spent a lot of time in UP, and we she knows a lot about UP, right?
I know a fair amount, yes.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about. By the way, I love your old, with Michigan, your old, tagline. They used a great time, great lakes. So I love that way better than what they have right now.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, they had that. That was my favorite tagline. I said, wow, that is true. They have great lakes and great
That
times.
is true.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm, as he said, Yolandie. I'm a personal style and confidence coach. And I spent many years, 16 to be exact, in retail working with women and helping them every day, which gave me the privilege of overhearing a lot of conversations
Mm-hmm.
when I simultaneously was going through a very difficult time in my life. And basically, it was rediscovering who is Yolandi? What does it mean to be me? And one of the ways that I found was so essential to embody myself was through the way I looked and through my style. But I couldn't find actual advice that
Mm-hmm.
helped me really embody me. And so it sent me on this journey of merging psychology and self help and style theory and techniques to create my business that I now run, which is Hamilton Styling, where I walk other women through the process I basically took myself through, which was self discovery leading into style. And so it's very uh, deep. It's not like a shallow type of style program where we just let's clean out your closet, let's go shopping. I
Mm-hmm.
love to really dive into who you are and to get to know my clients. And that I think is so paramount to telling your story,
Mm-hmm.
um, that it really compelled me in those days when I was struggling with where I was at in life. I knew that what I was doing was contributing to an overall problem that we as women are inundated with all these ideas of what it means to be a woman and to be stylish. And I realized I can continue contributing to this or I can start doing something about it. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, everything went insane, and I decided I'm going to do something about it. And so that was really when the business was born, and I started helping women one on one from home while I was locked down.
Mm. And that's very interesting, and I think you put a lot of things there. So I would kind of try to ask you a few questions out of that. And number one is, why do you think somebody should kind of identify or discover themselves? Pretty much. So, and why is that we should do that?
So, in terms of style, with discovering who you are on the inside, there's a lot of correlation that people don't necessarily are not necessarily consciously aware of, that we
Mm-hmm.
make these correlations between items and meanings. And the way that we think about ourselves and the meanings we've assigned to these items, especially when we put them on, we begin to embody those meanings. So, for example, the famous enclosed cognition study, where they took two groups of, I believe it was students, through a construction zone, gave them a tour, and inundated them with information, and then said, that they were going to quiz them on the information they received at the end. But before they could go on the tour, they needed them to put on these white coats to protect their clothes. They told one group that it was painter's coats, and they told the other group that it was doctor's coats. And
Mm-hmm.
after everything was said and done, those who were told it was doctor's coats were able to recall more information and therefore scored higher on these assessments than those in the painter's coats, which
Wow.
showed that they directly correlated intelligence with doctors and thus assigned that meaning to those coats and embodied that once they put the coats on, that they could now be as intelligent as a doctor, so to speak. And so it's really about uncovering what does something mean to you and how is that going to affect you when you show up in your everyday life.
Wow, that is beautiful study. I never knew that. See, there's always learning with new
Always
things.
something.
But that is very nice, that it really makes a difference how we learn things and how we identify with, or if we think of others, how they perceive us, right? So probably it takes lot. It gives us a lot of confidence, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you know exactly who you are and what you stand for, and that what you're wearing has meaning to you, it's so much easier to show up confidently and just really be that person that you most want to be. Everybody, for years now has been, well, years prior to the pandemic, was talking about, live your best life and, be your best you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody really understood fully what that meant. I think it translated, especially in the social media world, to a lot of like, let's go partying, let's do a lot of traveling. But it was very showy. It was very, look at me. Whereas coming from the inside and doing those things, it's a completely different experience. And that's where it shows up in style is, that you're wearing this for you. You're not wearing it to impress somebody. You're not wearing it because you want a new job or a promotion. It's because it lights you up and it makes you happy. And it's really a statement on your mental health that you are taking care of yourself.
That's very nice, very nice. So what you're saying is basically identify yourself and let your inside come out and shine, pretty much. So we don't
Exactly.
be yourself. We don't need to do or show what you are not. It could be under or over, right?
Exactly.
So just appropriate sort of level, so people can know you inside out, or know your personality, pretty much give you a lot of confidence, and also makes you walk and talk very confidently to anyone, pretty much, right?
Yeah, yeah. And like I had mentioned with the study and how we assign meanings to things, humans, as it's part of our nature, we make assumptions as soon as we see someone. So you walk into a room, I think the statistic is 7 seconds. Within 7 seconds, somebody's already made a whole list of assumptions about who you are. And so the closer your appearance aligns with who you are on the inside and what you believe and stand for, the closer those assumptions they make about you are to the truth.
Hmm. Yeah, okay, well, that's interesting too. 7 seconds, okay. And then they will ask you later on questions to clarify their thoughts or doubt or whatever. So also tell me a little bit about, is it particular for any age group or is it for anyone?
It really is for anyone. I tend to attract a lot of women in their late 20s to early 40s. That tends to be the range of women that I work with. There are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of entrepreneurs. They've started a business. And anyone who started a business knows that there is a tremendous amount of work to do on yourself to understand why it is you're even running this business in the first place. What does it mean? How am I contributing to the world at large in a way that's positive? And what does that mean to me ultimately? And so there's a lot of soul searching that goes on, and they arrive in this place where they realize, okay, I am now this business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, and the way that I'm dressing doesn't reflect that anymore. I don't feel like these clothes fit the person that I am. And I don't mean physically not fit, like they probably fit physically just fine, but they don't feel like themselves in those. They feel like they're in a costume, so to speak. And so once they can realign that by identifying all those things that I said already about where they come from and what they stand for and what they believe in, they feel, like you said, a lot more confident in being themselves, and it allows for greater connections and greater outreach. They are more comfortable talking to people to make those connections, because you never know where you're going to meet a future client or a partner or an investor. You just never know.
Okay, also tell me a little bit about, how is it changing or impacting social media. A lot of people might post something on social media and that might not be theirs, like in terms of they could dress up or use something which they could be or could not be, maybe posting somewhere vacationing or something, and which they are probably not, right?
Oh, as in like a faked photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is so much of that, and it's really detrimental to the mental health of a lot of people to fake things, because that then again goes back to those beliefs that you harbor that I need to be something I'm not. And so in that particular case, rather than showing up wearing expensive designer clothes or an outfit that you don't particularly like, but you just saw it in a magazine, and so you know that it's the latest trend, people are going to like it. You're just posting things that you think people want to see, and you're not really posting who you are. And I think there's been quite a movement lately towards greater authenticity and sharing what actually represents us as people, what we're going through, what we're experiencing, rather than this performative, like Insta model that we had for years, where all the angles are carefully calculated and it's, photo manipulated and the lights are messed with and the makeup is outrageous. It's really putting on a false front to garner attention. And that is the exact opposite of what we're going for by the time I'm done with somebody.
Okay, so you are actually not just actually you're not promoting that do on social media. You're doing in actuality where you actually are in real life walking with certain. Now, is there also a perception about I don't know if you know about there is where people match the colors or to their either superstition, belief, or whatever. So they match their even dress colors to that.
I would stand behind that 100%. If that's what makes you feel good, then absolutely match those colors. I think where it gets a little out of hand is, like I said, that performative aspect of wearing it because you think it's going to impress somebody, or in the case of social media, it's going to get more likes or more followers, and trying to be insta famous. That's not really long-term fulfilling, and in the end is really chipping away at yourself and your own self identity. And forming that identity takes a very long time. It's, most of our adolescent years. And when you don't have that solidly established, that's when you see a lot of the early 20s age doing these kinds of things where they're just posting basically just to post, and they just want everyone to look at me. And really, it's filling a hole where they don't know themselves and they feel lonely.
Okay. Now, other question I have is about some, body images. So, where people will dress to either show their body or not show, either way. Okay. So, do you also see a lot of problem?
What I see with that is self-conscious issues. So people tend to swing to one of the two extremes where they show a lot of skin or they cover as much skin as possible. If they're showing a lot of skin, they're either in the category of they're very comfortable with their body and that's just who they are, which you can tell when you see one of those photos because they look very at home in their environment, in the way that they're sitting. Their body language is very composed and relaxed. They're not rigid, is the word I think I want. And the people on the opposite end of that who show a lot of skin are doing it for attention because, again, they think it's going to get more likes, more followers, more attention. And so they dress and expose all of this because that's the belief that they hold. And then on the far extreme from that are the ones who cover up completely. They're the ones who were taught as they were raised that showing too much skin is bad. Showing too much skin means you are a certain kind of woman.
Yeah.
And so their instinct, based on what they were taught, is cover it up. And so they literally cover as much as possible to stay safe, which is what their brain is telling them is the right thing to do. And so of all three, the one who is showing the skin because they're just comfortable with it and that's who they are, they're the only ones who are doing the right thing. The other two both need to examine those beliefs of why do I feel it's appropriate to show so much skin, even if I'm not comfortable doing it? Or why do I feel it's inappropriate to show so much skin and therefore cover up? And those are the kinds of things that I talk about with clients from day one. And I actually had one recently who, when we were talking, she was wearing a black tank top and a black, it was kind of like a poncho type top that she had thrown over the tank top. And the tank top was fitted, it fit her beautifully. And it was just a standard tank top, nothing crazy or special. But she had to put the extra piece on to cover herself up because that's the kind of idea that was implanted in her as a young adult. And so it has still stuck with her. And I asked her, I said, why do you feel like it's necessary to hide yourself? And she paused for a minute and she was like, I don't know. My mom always just told me that was what was appropriate for a well-mannered young lady, and so that's what I've done. And so we continued our conversation and explored what that meant to her. But it's really in the beliefs. It's really, women think the problems in their closet are in the closet. Really, they're in between these two ears of ours. That's where it all starts.
And we're not saying you always have to dress one way or the other. So
Exactly.
there could be days where you want to kind of make more official statement, right? And you
Right.
want, like we are all are, like we could be happy, sad, and we could be really jolly, and we could
Yeah.
be really kind of just composed one day, and just on the other hand. So I think my take is always, you want to show your dress and everything pretty much to your mood, and you can, right? So you can vary it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's really personal. That's why it's called personal style. It's up to you and it's what it means to you.
Also, tell me a little bit about, if you were talking a little bit about your courses, seminar, and how people get. So tell me a little bit about that, how somebody can get your services, and what is the best one.
Yeah, so you can find me on the social medias, Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, I actually have a private group called Thoughtful Style where I run weekly live sessions every Friday. I'll be taking a sabbatical during the summer, so there are always replays to catch up on. And I do have a master class coming on the 13th that runs through the 16th, and we will explore all of the things that I've talked about and compile it into a guide that you can reference later. So you'll always have something to fall back on when you're having one of those second guess moments. But there's so much in there. I could probably talk for another hour just about all of the amazing things that you can learn in this class. And that is totally free. And the group is totally free. It's really about building community for me in those places, and outreach and working with me is very easy. Just DM me and I'm happy to talk. And we can elaborate on anything you've seen in any of the live trainings, anything in the master classes, or we can just get to know each other because, I love meeting new people and making friends.
That's very nice. So you think the best is to get this, and they can book either a course or initial consultation with you.
Absolutely. That's the best place to start. If you're thinking, oh gosh, she sounds like she just described me. Those are all the things that I've thought, and I really don't know where to start. Then absolutely, yes. Book a 30-minute consult with me and we'll talk about it.
Okay. Do you also get both sexes, or any sexes, or do you get just one more?
I work primarily with women, but anybody who is identifying with the female aesthetic is welcome. I may expand out into men later. I've had a couple of requests, but I'm still feeling that out, and women is my comfort zone. I'll be totally honest. So,
Mhm.
men to be continued.
Okay, great. Also, any final thoughts or advice would you have for my listeners?
Yeah, I would just say that remember when you step out of the house that people are seeing what they think is you and not who exactly is you. So make sure that you are putting out there who you want them to see.
Okay, well, with that, I would say exactly what you have described. That be yourself. We should just stop listening or caring about what others think about us in terms of trying to please them, right? So, just make your statement. Just be yourself and just please yourself, pretty much, in terms of that. So, because once you are yourself, then I think nobody can question that, right? Mm.
Absolutely. Agree 100%.
Okay, well, thank you and good luck on your future and take care. Thank you.